guys. Hey guys, it's Tamara Bennett from Southern Adoornments Decor, and today we're going to be painting this Give Thanks door hanger. It's one that was released this last Friday, and it's got a faux shiplap looking background. It's got a pumpkin here in the middle and some greenery going out to the sides. And so we're going to paint this and make it look sort of like it's shiplap. So how is everybody? Are y'all having a good day? I'm feeling so much better. As you guys know, last week I had COVID, and so it's been a struggle to get over that. It still, I feel like, affects me here and there a little bit, but good morning, Donna. So I actually cut this door hanger on my Thunder laser cutting machine, and all the design is laser etched in the surface. And so we're going to be able to paint right over these words and over the greenery and still be able to see the shapes of the leaves and the letters and stuff like that. So it's going to make it really easy for us to paint this, because if we didn't paint over all that, we would have to carefully go around each and every little detail of this, and it would be super annoying. Where do your door hangers to do with it? What? Where do you get your door hangers to do this with? I guess that's what you're saying. We actually sell these wooden blanks in our shop at shopdoorhangers.com. So if you want to paint one of these as well, you can get laser etched blanks just like this at shopdoorhangers.com. This is the largest one. This is the 20-inch size, which is kind of the size we consider standard for door hangers. Do you have a Glowforge or a Thunder? I have both, actually. And I prefer the Thunder over the Glowforge. It costs a little bit more, but I like it better. It's faster, and I don't have to use any masking material to keep from having the scorch marks. I'm just able to put it in there, and it's able to cut and everything. Good morning, Patty and Rosie. How are you guys? Hi, Kath. I'm from Kentucky, if you haven't picked up on my accent. So y'all tell me where you're watching from. Pat's watching from South Georgia. So we're going to be using Decor Art Americana paints today, and the first one that I'm using is called Toffee. I was looking for a really nice light, like tan color, because we're going to do tan and navy stripes in the background of this. Okay, I see somebody watching from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And so, let's see, Andy says, how much are they? So the 20-inch size with the laser etching is $24 plus shipping. So we're going to use this toffee color, and we're just going to paint our background this color, and then we're going to put our navy on, and I'm just going to paint every other stripe since the stripes in between are going to be navy. I'm not going to paint the whole thing this color. That would be redundant. But see how we can paint right over these words, and you guys may not be able to see them, but I can still see them through the paint enough to be able to do the lettering and stuff like that later. And so if you have a laser cutting machine, or maybe you have a jigsaw or a scroll saw and you're kind of handy and you know how to use them, we have the templates available in our shop as well. And so you can download the printable template. You can trace it on your wood with some graphite or carbon paper, and you can cut out your own shapes. Or if you have, like I said, a laser cutter machine or a CNC machine, those templates also come with the laser cutting files. So you can put those right in your machine and cut the same exact shape. You wouldn't have to create the file yourself. It comes with the template. Hi, Marina. Thank you. Andy's watching from Alabama. Rhonda's from Kentucky. Hello, Amy. Did you get a new laser? So I have a Thunder Laser Nova 24. And so that's what I cut this one on. All right, I think I'm gonna paint, let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and paint this stripe here, the toffee color. Like I said, we're just painting right over the top of these vines and leaves and things. It doesn't matter. We'll still be able to see them through the paint. It's kind of like paint by number, only it's easier, I feel like, than paint by number. Hi, Bobby from Michigan. Hello, Karen from South Carolina. Is the Thunder giving you discount codes like Glowforge? So no, Thunder does not offer any discount codes. But if you use my link, I do get credit for sending you over there. I don't get any kind of like payout or anything like that, but I am an ambassador of their laser cutting machines. And so they do track how many people go over using my link. Hi, Marcia from Virginia. So we're just painting around the, oops, I started to go around down below that line. I don't need to do that. I need to stay above that line. That's where the shiplap lines are. And these shiplap lines are on the wood for us, so that makes it easy. I don't have to get out a ruler or anything to kind of measure. I can just paint right over them. Jordan's been painting, and I told him he needs to join your group. Oh, hey, Damon. Yeah, he should. So I have a group called the Painters Clubhouse. It's my membership where we teach door hanger painting. So if you have been struggling to learn how to do this on your own, highly recommend the group. It's been around for 3.5 years now. There's lots of people watching right now who are PC sisters. If you're a PC sister, let us know. And lots of them have been able to learn how to paint these with confidence and a lot less stress than trying to figure it out on their own. Watching from Nebraska. Awesome. All right, we're going to mix a color for our navy because I didn't really have the right color for a navy. So I've got this True Blue. It's a Decor Americana paint. And it's too bright for navy. So we're going to darken it up by adding just a drop of black. Just one drop. And then I'm going to mix it with the bottom of a paintbrush. Anytime you're mixing up a paint color like this, you definitely want to, if you're adding black or something like that, only add like one drop at a time because you'll be shocked at how much one little drop of black can change a color. And then you're like struggling to balance the color out and you're adding more and more and then you just end up wasting paint. Okay, that's not quite dark enough, so I'm going to add one more drop. And I think that'll probably be good. It's also kind of tricky too because you want to mix enough paint to be able to do the area that you're getting ready to paint. And, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I see lots of PC sisters in the comments.
And
here comes Charlie.
Dad just got me and gave me some carvings of wood, so now I'm going to draw them.
Okay, you're looking for the paint pens? They're right there.
I found them.
Charlie's coming in to get some paint. She's going to be painting. What does your shirt say? It says, beautiful things are never perfect. It's one of the ones from...
Mine says friends, friends, friends.
Yeah, yours says friends on it. It's one of the ones from the Red-Headed Camel. So if you're interested in that, I can give you a link to it later. So this color's about perfect. But anytime you're mixing up colors like this and you're afraid you won't have enough, it helps if you count like how many drops of black or something like that you added, because it helps you when you have to mix more, you can get it more accurate. Yeah, I think this color is going to be good. So we're doing navy and tan stripes. And so we've already painted our tan with the toffee color, and now we're going back with this navy color that I just mixed, and we're adding that on the stripes in between. And even though this is a darker color, I can still see the etching lines through the paint. Because since they're kind of carved in, it doesn't matter. If I put like 3 layers of paint over this, I can still see the etching lines in the wood. Yes, Corey, Brett told me all about y'all's adventures last night. So Brett and Uncle Corey got to go to a WWE wrestling event last night, and they sat front row and had the best time. He just finished telling me all about it right before I came in here. And he got to meet lots of his favorite WWE superstars and take pictures and stuff like that. So I think they had a great night. They didn't get in till late because it was in Nashville, Tennessee, and that's about a 2-hour drive from us. But they had a great time. Hi, PC Sister from New York. Is this on your website yet? Yeah, so this design is called the Give Thanks Shiplap design, and it's at shopdoorhangers.com. I've also put the link up in the video description for you. Of course, if you're watching on TikTok, you can get there by going to my link in my profile, and that'll take you straight to our shop. And it should be at the top of the, like, new products listed up at the top, because this is one of the ones we just released on Friday. So it's a brand new design. I think this one's going to be a great seller at craft fairs and paint parties and things like that this fall, because this navy color is so popular right now in lots of home decor. I don't know about you guys, but I've been seeing it a lot in different stores. Okay, I am going to paint around this leaf simply because there's no sense in only painting over half of it. And because if I paint over half of it with navy, when I go to paint the color on top of the navy, half the leaf is going to be like green painted on top of navy, and half the leaf will be green painted on top of tan. So the two greens may not look the same if they're, if the leaf is like split in half, half and half that way. So I'm just painting around that one. But the rest of them I'm just kind of going on over. I'm not too worried about it. One thing you can do, if you are painting like this and you accidentally paint over something that you're like, oh no, you know, I should not have painted over that, because you know it's going to be difficult to like cover that color up. One thing you can do is take like a tan color or a color that's really similar to the background color of your wood, like this toffee color, and you can repaint over like the blue or whatever color you accidentally painted it with the toffee, and the tan color will kind of like neutralize the darker color of paint, and so it'll make it's like taking it back down to wood without sanding it down. So that's a little trick. You're having problems with lettering. It takes lots of practice. Brenda said, I almost have the fall challenge finished. I got sidetracked with fall crafts. I don't blame you, Brenda. There are so many fall crafts right now I want to do. Okay, so let me show you guys so far what we got. We've got our stripes painted, and you can see when I hold it up close that I can still see the lettering and stuff like that through the paint. See how you can see it in the light when I turn it certain ways? So we're good to keep on painting. I'm going to let that dry for a moment though, and I'm going to go ahead and paint our pumpkin down here orange. And I'm going to use this color right here. It's called Canyon Orange. It's a Deco Art Americana paint. Also, if you guys want to get a like PDF of the colors that I'm using on this project today, because maybe you want to paint this in a few days, or you want to order a wood blank from us and paint it later, all you have to do is text LIST to my phone number, 270-207-9091. Text LIST to that number, and we will send you a text message in a couple of days when we have the PDF ready, and it will have a picture of the painted project on it. It'll have all the paint colors listed that I used, and links to the other recommended things. Like if I use Posca pens, Posca paint pens, it'll have a link to where you can find those on Amazon. And so we have lots of those project PDFs. We call them a one sheet because it has like all the information you need on one sheet. We have lots of those one sheets for all these projects that I paint. And so even if you maybe missed one we did last week or week before, you can get access to those through the same link that we're going to text you in a couple of days when this one's ready. You'll be able to go through and download older ones as well. So if you've already done that once in the past, you don't have to do it again. How would you make, what? I can't read it that far. How would you make fake ice look as if it has Coke on it? Oh, goodness. I'm not sure. I haven't tried that method. Fake ice look like it has Coke on it. I maybe water down or use some antiquing glaze, like a glazing medium with some brown paint, and that would make the paint slightly transparent. Like kind of like Coke would be transparent on ice. I'm not sure. Okay, so we've got our pumpkin painted orange. I accidentally splattered a little bit of orange paint over here onto my navy, so I'm going to get a baby wipe and clean that up real quick. Always keep your baby wipes handy because you're going to need them when you're crafting. We're just going to dab that up because I accidentally splattered it with my brush over onto that navy stripe. But it's easily cleaned up with a baby wipe. No problem. Lynn says those list PDFs are invaluable. Oh, good. I'm glad you're enjoying them. So if you've been getting them for a while now, yeah, you've probably been using them. So the next color I'm going to use is called Sable Brown, and we're going to use this on the stem of our little pumpkin. So I'm switching to a smaller flat tip brush. This whole time I've been using a larger flat tip brush, but this little area with the stem is a lot smaller. So I'm just switching to a slightly smaller brush. And this tan color that's in the background is already nice and dry, so I can go ahead and paint this in, and it's not going to bother anything. How many of you guys have been shopping with your new Painters Clubhouse discount code on the Decor website? So Decor has now provided a discount code for my Painters Clubhouse members. So if you're a member of the Painters Clubhouse, be sure and go get that code out of the membership site. What was the number to get the list? Phyllis, it's up in the video description, but I'll say it again if somebody wants to type it in the comments. The phone number is 270-207-9091. 270-207-9091. And you just text the word list to that phone number. Yes, all the previous lists from past weeks are also available on that site also. So we'll give you a link to that whenever the new list is available. Bobby says she's going to do some shopping this weekend. Awesome. Thank you, Christina. She put the text number down there. So did Stephanie. All right, let me dry this. Well, no, we don't have to dry it because we're going to paint this leaf next. I'm going to use this Hauser medium green color. It's one of my favorite greens, and we're going to paint the leaves this color. So using the same flat tip brush, this is actually one of the brushes that they have on the Decor website. They've got a bunch of new ones, and they're all blue handles like this, and they have the size on them and everything. So this is a flat tip, and it's a size 12. I think they're all like 30% off right now too. So if you need some new brushes, I'm really enjoying these from the Decor site. They're a good quality brush. They are a wooden handle, so be careful when you wash the brushes. Do not lay them to dry like this, because any excess moisture that's up here after you've washed them will seep down into the wooden handle, and it will ruin your brushes. So be sure and take good care of them. When you're letting them dry, make sure and lay them flat on a paper towel or something absorbent, so that excess moisture will go into the paper towel. Also, and I know this is really difficult because for those of us who craft, we often will stop and make dinner and then go back to what we were doing and we'll forget. But try your best not to leave your brushes sitting in a cup of water for hours and hours and hours. I leave mine sitting in the cup of water the whole time I'm painting. But then when I'm done painting, when the live is over, I take that cup and I go wash the brushes out. I've gotten really good at, thankfully, because I used to be really bad at it. I've gotten really good at washing my brushes out after each project. I used to be bad about it, and I would leave the brushes sitting in the dirty paint. Every time we do a live, Siri starts to interrupt. I used to be really bad about it, and I would leave the brushes in the water cup overnight or for 2 or 3 days, and then next thing you know, like the handles of the wood start to swell because they're absorbing that water, and it's not good for your brushes. It really shortens their life. Does your list also list the size of the brush that you use? I don't think it's that detailed. I don't think we have the size of the paintbrushes, but I usually say the size of the paintbrush when I'm on the live. But the thing is, unless you have the same exact brand of brushes that I'm using, telling you the size doesn't really help. Because here's the thing. Let me switch paintbrushes. I'm going to switch to a smaller one now that I'm doing these other leaves. Different paintbrush companies have different numbers. The systems are different for every brush company. What type of wood is this? This is 1/4 inch Revolution plywood. And so if you're using a different brand, the size of your brush is going to be different than the size of my brush. They don't have like a universal system, but they totally should. Somebody said, I want to take your Procreate course, but I want to order a paper-like screen protector. Any recommendations? Yes. So Rebecca, in my profile, there is a link to my Amazon favorites, And inside the Amazon favorites, there's a category for iPad essentials. It's linked in there. But it's like a paper-like screen protector for your iPad. I highly recommend it because it makes it to where your Apple Pencil doesn't slide around on the surface of your iPad when you're trying to draw. And it makes it feel more like you're drawing on paper. Okay, now we're taking this Hauser medium green color. It's the same one we used on this big leaf. And we're just painting in these little leaves with a smaller brush. This one is a size 8 flat tip. I use flat tip brushes a lot. I don't know, you know, for those of you who've been watching me for any amount of time, you probably realized that. Some people prefer to use like a round tip brush or a filbert tip brush for lots of the things that I use a flat tip brush for. But I think it's just a personal preference. I feel most comfortable with a flat tip brush because I feel like I have good control of the paint, and I don't know, it's like muscle memory, right? My hands know what to do with a flat tip brush. Sometimes when I switch to a different brush, like an angle tip brush, it's like I feel like I don't have good control of the paint. But that is only because I am so used to using the flat tip brush. So whatever brush you get used to is the brush that's probably going to be your favorite. Do you use anything to clean the brushes super well, or just strictly water? Just strictly water, Brittany. Now, when I was sick with COVID last week and up in the bed, my daughter, who is 6.5, came in my craft room and had been in here having a little painting party of her own. And so she had like been using paintbrushes and leaving them out. And there were a bunch of paintbrushes scattered on the table with paint dried in the bristles. And I was real frustrated for just a minute, and then I'm like, okay, this is a teaching moment. I'm going to tell her, you know, if you're going to use your mama's paintbrushes, you got to wash them out real good. But the thing is I was still able to save those paintbrushes. I actually took a little bit, like maybe an inch worth of rubbing alcohol, and I put it in the bottom of a plastic cup, and I dropped all the brushes down in there so that the bristles were soaking in that rubbing alcohol. And I let them soak for 2 or 3 minutes. And then I was able to take like a little makeup scrubber, and I just scrubbed while the rubbing alcohol was still in the bristles. I scrubbed those bristles on a makeup scrubber. And you know what? Every bit of the paint that had been dried on them came off. Every bit. So I was able to salvage them. No worries. Hi, Mary. Somebody said something and I couldn't read it. What did she say? She said, I have a question about cutting with the Glowforge. Do you have to mask everything? I'm such a newbie. Yeah, so with the Glowforge, if you don't use a masking material, you are going to have those burn over scorch marks because there's no air blowing in there to keep the laser from scorching the wood. Now, the Thunder laser that I have has something called Air Assist, and it's like a little tiny air pressure thing that blows right next to the laser that keeps the laser from scorching over onto the wood. Let's see. Somebody said, is there a right or wrong side of this plywood? No, you can paint on both sides. Both sides. Somebody says, I have lots of paintbrushes with dried paint in them. Yes, definitely. Oh, and the rubbing alcohol will also get paint out of clothing. So when Charlie was in here having her little paint party, she got paint all over her clothes. And so I was able to take the rubbing alcohol and I put like a paper towel inside her t-shirt underneath the areas that I was going to be cleaning so that it kind of soaks up the excess alcohol. And it kind of also allows it to kind of sit in the fabric a little longer because it's like, instead of soaking straight through to the bottom side of the fabric, it's staying on the paper towel and on the fabric. And so it allows it to kind of soak a little longer. And so that rubbing alcohol, we just poured just a teeny bit on each spot on her shirt. And then I took a toothbrush and I just, you know, vigorously cleaned the areas up with the paint until I had gotten as much off as I could. And so I was able to get like 99% of it off. And then I went and I added, I sprayed each spot with like a stain remover. And I tossed it in the washing machine. And you know what? It came out looking good as new. And I recorded the entire process. So I will be making that into a TikTok or a Reels video here soon. Deb says, does Murphy's oil soap work or is alcohol better? So Deb, Murphy's oil soap works well too. I feel like the alcohol does a better job of breaking up the paint the resin in the paint, if the paint is really gooked on. I feel like the Murphy's oil soap is kind of like a conditioner, and it does a good job at like reconditioning your bristles. So if your bristles are real stiff and they aren't real soft anymore, the Murphy's oil soap kind of helps with that. I feel like I've been talking 90 miles an hour. Hopefully you guys are getting all kinds of great tips while I'm just sitting here painting these little leaves. So I'm just adding this Hauser medium green to each of these little leaves. And they're going to need a second coat, but I was just giving them one good coat, and then we're going to go back around again. Somebody said, what's the masking process with the Glowforge? So I have that masking material linked in my Amazon favorites also. But it is, it's kind of like a masking tape on like it's like a 12 inches wide roll of it, right? And so you lay it on your wood and you smooth it out with like a credit card sort of thing. And then you put it in your you put your wood in your Glowforge material. So the masking protects the wood from getting a scorch on it. And then you're able to go ahead and cut the thing in the Glowforge. And then when you take it out, you can peel that masking material off, and you'll still have your laser etched lines underneath, but you won't have that scorching on top. Is there an 18-inch template for this design? There's a 20-inch template. So our templates come in our templates come in 20, 12, 8, and 6 inch. And that's also the same size that our wooden cutouts come in. So if you're ordering on our website at shopdoorhangers.com, you'll be able to get them in that size also. I'm drying these leaves real quick. There's Aaliyah in the comments. She's helping answer questions. I didn't realize that. Thank you, Aaliyah. All right, we're going to do another coat on these leaves with this Hauser medium green. This coat should go a lot faster because we're not having to make sure and get all the edges. We're just kind of filling in the middles. So it's a little faster. And then we'll be able to add our details and our lettering. So the lettering on this one is going to be super easy because it is laser etched on the wood. Now, if you're using a template, a printable template, you can still, get the same effect by using the graphite paper or carbon paper to transfer the words to your design. And the lettering on this one, actually this whole design was created by Sarah from the Red-Headed Camel. She was watching a little bit earlier on TikTok. She's the one who designed this t-shirt, and she is on our design team. So she's also a door hanger painter, and she designed this template. And so she does all the hand lettering on her designs, free-handed. I'm so impressed by her. She has such cute lettering. So if you're watching on TikTok or even Facebook and you want to be able to watch this video later and you're afraid you won't be able to find it because TikTok does not keep live videos, on the feed. They disappear after the live is over. If you want to be able to watch this one again later, we are going to be putting it on YouTube, but it's also on Facebook. So you can go and follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and there's a link to my YouTube channel if you want to follow over there in my profile. So you can go back and find this video later if you want to rewatch, or if you want to catch up, maybe you missed the beginning. So if a lot of you guys are used to watching on Facebook, Facebook was all shut down yesterday. I actually spend most of my time on TikTok these days, so I didn't really notice that much. But if you're used to watching on Facebook and you couldn't find me on Facebook yesterday, just know you can always find me on YouTube as well. All right, I'm going to switch to the larger brush for this big leaf because I feel like it's taking forever to cover it with the smaller one. And it's hard to keep the brush strokes out. When you're using a little bitty brush on a large area, it ends up looking a little messy because you have too many brush strokes. So if you feel like you have that problem, if you feel like your painting just doesn't look smooth, it looks like it's got too many brush strokes, it's probably because you're using a tiny paintbrush or one that's just too small for the area, and you need to switch to one a little larger so that you can smooth that paint out a little better. It could also be that you're also either using too much or too little paint. Sometimes that's a problem. When does the Christmas Workshop Challenge come out? It's the first week in November, so we're going to have sign-ups for that coming very, very soon. I actually just finished painting it yesterday. Okay, I want to put one more coat on this pumpkin. So I'm switching back to the larger paintbrush that I was using earlier. It's a flat tip. And we're just going to put a quick second coat on this pumpkin. So in November, first week in November, we'll be doing a workshop for painting a door hanger. So if you've been wanting to paint a door hanger for the first time, or maybe you just need a little bit of guidance and you want handheld or hand-holding instructions, you definitely want to sign up for that workshop. So we don't have sign-ups going yet, but it will be coming very soon. So if you're on our texting list, you definitely will not miss out. You'll be the first ones to hear about it. So be sure and text me. My number's up in the video description. Like I said, if you have texted the word list to get the paint color list, then you'll be on that text list too. So now, you know, you're covered. All right, this is the second coat of the Canyon Orange on our pumpkin. Looks good. And now I think we can go ahead and start doing our vines and stuff like that. So I'm going to switch to a small round tip brush. This is one that looks like a unicorn horn. I got this one from Hobby Lobby a while back. But it's just a little pointed round tip brush, so you can barely see the brush bristles on the end. And we're going to use that Sable Brown color to do these little twisty vines that are coming out from the edge of the pumpkin. So just don't get too much paint on your brush when you're doing these. Just get a little bit on the tip of the paintbrush and use it kind of like a marker. Just carefully draw around as if you were using a pencil or a marker to make these little curly cues coming out of the pumpkin. I usually stop talking when I'm doing something this detailed because talking kind of makes my diaphragm bounce up and down, and then my hands are moving, and then it's not as smooth. So I have to kind of stop talking and concentrate. You could also do this part with a paint pen, but my daughter came in here earlier during the live and snatched up all of my paint pens and took them to the kitchen. So I don't have any paint pens right now to use. So we'll just use paint and a round tip brush. It's okay. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Danita. She put the text number down in the description for you. All right, now we need to paint the vine parts that connect to our little leaves, and we're going to do that with a green, not brown. What's the thickness of the board? So this one is a 1/4 inch thick. So Karen, the supply list to this particular project is not going to be on there yet because it takes a couple of days, because Tamara doesn't decide. Yes, I'm talking about myself in the third person. I don't decide what paint colors I'm using until about 5 minutes before I go live. So that doesn't give my team enough time to make the PDF before I go live. So you guys can get those a few days later after they've had time to make them. Which do you prefer, paint pens or paintbrush? So I prefer using a paintbrush on like 90% of everything. And then when it comes down to like fine details, like adding outlines or highlights, I usually switch to a paint pen. So you may not see me do that much on this project, but I started out, actually everything I learned with a paintbrush. I didn't actually learn how to use paint pens until I had been doing this for probably 3 or 4 years. And I love using the paint pens for the outlining, but I learned everything with a paintbrush first. And it's just a different look, really. I actually kind of prefer the look of the paintbrush, but the paint pens are a little bit faster and more convenient sometimes. The paintbrush just kind of looks to me a little bit more artistic because it's a little less perfect. It's a little bit more like you get a variety of widths of strokes and stuff like that, whereas a paint pen, everything's kind of uniform. So we're just painting in the lines for our vines for these little leaves. And I'm not freehanding these. They are etched on the wood, so I'm just following the lines that are already there. Super easy. And they just disappear right here behind the pumpkin. There we go. Oh, and there's one more right here that holds this little leaf. There we are. Okay, next we can take a darker green. Let's see. I may mix a couple of colors. So I've got this one that's the Hauser dark green, but it's a little darker than what I want. So I may add just a couple drops of that to the color that we used for our leaf. And blend it. And I'm going to use this to kind of create a little bit of like the veins inside the middle of the leaf so that they aren't so flat looking. Okay, so it's more like a half and half mixture. All right, so getting our round tip brush again, we're just going to take it and I'm just going to kind of outline each of these little leaves and then kind of do like a little one single stroke down the center of the leaf. So I'm going around the edge of each leaf and then I'm doing one stroke up the middle of the leaf, kind of like for a crease or a vein. I don't know what you want to call it. It's very subtle because we mixed the two greens together. It's not a bold look. And I didn't want anything super bold. Also gonna outline this leaf here. Hang on, I think I need just a little bit more of that darker green. It's not quite showing up on this leaf as much as it was on the other ones. So we're just outlining the leaf. And then we're going to take it and we're going to do one single stroke up the middle. Let me kind of show you. See that? Okay, let's outline these leaves over here. Don't be a perfectionist with this part. Just do it quickly. It'll look like you did it effortlessly if you do it faster. You know, if you're trying to perfectly outline every single leaf, then it's going to look like you tried to outline every single leaf a little. It's going to look like you put too much work into making that look like that. Okay, so now let's get our orange again, the same color we used for our pumpkin, and that's going to be the color for our lettering up here at the top. This is the Canyon Orange. Canyon Orange. Is that a light brown on the base? So yeah, this color is called Toffee. We painted every other stripe with the Toffee first, and then we added a navy color in between. And then we painted our base coat of our leaves and our pumpkins and stuff like that. Let me dry this real quick because I know I'm going to stick my hand in that paint and ruin it. Lori says, have you always been artistic? So I feel like I've always been, kind of like my daughter, I've always played with crafts and painting and things like that, but I would not have called myself a painter. I was not very good at it. I just like to do it. But in the last 7 years, I started a business and I taught at paint parties and things like that. And the more I did it, the better I got. Lots of people think that this is something you have to be born with, that you're just magically born with the ability to paint. But really, very few people who are painters and artists were just born with the ability to do it. I would say the vast majority of the rest of us just enjoy the process and we keep trying it until we get it right. And so I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear. A lot of people want to like think that, you know, well, I can't do that because I wasn't born with it. And that's how they just use that as their excuse to not learn something. But really anybody can do this. They just have to be willing to dedicate themselves to continuing to try. All right, I'm going to try this paintbrush. It's a Filbert Tip Brush from Decor. The tip of it is shaped kind of like a fingernail or the fingertip, kind of an oval shape. I'm going to dampen that brush just a little bit, smooth the bristles out, and I'm going to get some of this Canyon Orange. And the letters on this are already laser etched in the wood. So actually, you know what? You know how I told you guys, I'm going to wipe this up so that I can start over. You know how I told you guys earlier in the live that if you're having a hard time with a paint color covering something, you can paint it tan. It's kind of like taking it back to a wood color first, and then you'll be able to kind of neutralize the color. I just noticed this orange is having a really difficult time covering the navy. So instead of continuing to paint with the orange, I wiped it up with the baby wipe. And now I'm just going to take this toffee color, which is the color we painted the tan stripes, and I'm going to paint the letters that are covering the navy area with that toffee first. And it's kind of like priming or creating a base coat for the orange, so the orange has something behind it. And so I'm not doing the entire words, just the part that's on the navy background. And this doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to cover the words. And this will neutralize the navy and make it easier for the orange to show up. I'm running out of it though. This is called toffee, this color. I may have missed a question or two in the beginning. I apologize for that. I will try to go back and look at them after the live is over. Or if you want to re-ask, feel free to type it in again. Hi, Missy from Lexington. I'm over here in Western Kentucky, near Murray State University. I'm a Kentucky gal. See how we're painting the letters tan? It's neutralizing that navy. It's going to make it a whole lot easier for our orange paint to cover those parts of the letters. Because otherwise we might have to do like 4 coats of orange on the parts that's covering up the navy, and that's going to be super annoying. So this little quick part will make it a whole lot easier. And I'm not freehanding this lettering. Like I said, it is laser etched on the wood, so I'm just painting inside the lines right now. Super easy. Hello, Polly from Oklahoma. Your husband is from Crofton, Kentucky, outside of Hopkinsville. I don't know. I've never heard of Crofton, but I definitely know where Hopkinsville is. You're watching, let's see, I'm missing the comments. You're watching while eating on your lunch hour. Hi, Brenda. Glad you got to catch me. Jalissa says, I have family in Evansville. I know where that's at too. So Wendy is asking about the Thunder Laser and their customer support. Yes, it's they definitely have great customer support. I have not had to call them, but maybe once. And whenever I got my machine, they told me I could set up a 1-hour call with them. And so they hop on a phone call and they can walk you through how to set up your machine, how to use the software in the program. And so they stayed on the line with me until I had successfully cut my first door hanger, which was super helpful. I've heard lots of people who have the Thunder have been super pleased with their customer service. Like I said, I haven't had to call them yet with any problems, so I can't really testify to that just yet. But I do know lots of people who are in our Painters Clubhouse and whatnot, and people I've heard that have had a Thunder Laser have said their customer service is great. Almost done covering up the navy. have to be careful with this Filbert Tip Brush because in parts of it, it is, hang on, let me do one more coat over these areas here. They do look a little dark still. Because sometimes these bristles, like you have to apply light pressure or heavy pressure on some of these areas with the thinner upstrokes. So just be sure to do that. Be careful when you're going around the smaller parts of the letter not to push down all the way on the bristles. Okay. Maybe 2 coats of the toffee will cover better. The 1 coat, when it dries, is not looking as thick as I had hoped, so I'm just adding a quick second coat to some of these larger areas of the letters. I don't need it to be perfectly toffee colored, but I definitely want to mask or hide that blue. Okay. This dryer makes it hot in here. What machine do you suggest to purchase for a newbie? I think that kind of depends, Susie. If you're going to be, if you're wanting to keep the machine inside your craft room, the Thunder Laser is a large machine to keep in the house. It's not to say it can't be done. If you have a large room, you should be fine. And you have to be able to vent it out either a window or a hole in the wall to send the fumes outside. The letters, Chris, say give thanks. And so if you need a smaller machine that can go in your craft room, the Glowforge Pro is great for that. If you are going to be cutting lots of orders and doing lots of cutting, then you may want to go ahead and splurge and get your Thunder Laser. Is in the basement. Oh, then I would say as long as you're able to vent it, the Thunder Laser should be great for you. Do you use markers for the lettering? So no, we are using a Filbert Tip paintbrush. And I'm gonna get a different one because that other one, something was wrong with the bristles on it. This one's the same kind of brush. And so now I can take my orange and we can start painting in the letters with the orange, and it will cover so much better. Oh yeah, way better. So this is a Filbert Tip brush. Some people prefer to use a round tip brush or a paint marker. That's totally okay. I kind of like the look that painting them on gives. Whereas sometimes when you use a marker, it's like the marker doesn't cover as well or something, and the effect just isn't the same. So with the paintbrush, I can apply light pressure, to get a skinny stroke, or heavy pressure to get a thicker stroke. Like for that one right there, it was a really light pressure. So this one, I'm going to press my bristles all the way flat to cover that thicker stroke down. And then I'm going to use light pressure right through here to do these thinner areas. But that painting it tan first is really going to save me a lot of headache, because I'm not going to have to sit here and go over every part of those letters multiple times. And it's difficult to do 3 or 4 coats of paint on letters. It's like every brush stroke is noticeable. So I don't like to do more than 2 coats on painting letters if I can help it. Just because it seems like the thicker the paint, like the more coats you get, the thicker the paint gets, and then the more frustrating it is because you have all these brush strokes and it just doesn't look clean. So painting it tan first, I feel like it kind of neutralized that, and it makes it to where it's going to look a lot better. You would like to register for the class. So there are links. There are links in my profile if you want to get the free door hanger ebook that I have. It'll answer a lot of your questions if you're a newbie to door hanger painting. And then there's also a link for more information about my Painters Clubhouse membership, if that's what you're asking about. If you're asking about the workshop that we're going to be doing first week of November, there's not a link for that yet, but there will be in a week or so. I'm not sure how soon, but pretty soon we're going to start signups for that. So that workshop will be $10. And so that's kind of like your chance to try out painting with me and see if you like it. And if you do, then maybe you'll want to join my membership, the Painters Clubhouse. I have still got this COVID mess in my chest. Makes it difficult to talk very long. Hi, Jerry from Texas. Okay, yes, it's called the Painters Clubhouse, Susie. I think that's what, I can't hardly see your name, but I think it says Susie. So Susie, yes, go to the profile and type and click on Painters Clubhouse. You can find more information there. I just love this lettering. It's so cute. Sarah's hand lettering, and all I'm having to do is fill in the paint inside the lines. Makes it easy. I can do hand lettering. I don't like to do it, but I can if I have to freehand it. And I think that's just one of those things where it's like we're just not, a lot of people don't like their own handwriting. And I think that's my problem. I just don't like my own handwriting. I have to rotate it to get this really skinny little stroke right through here that's part of the T. I will hold it up and let you guys see the words here in a second when I get them all painted orange. Hi, Sheila from Alabama. Hi, Sheila. What font is it? This is not a font. This is actually hand lettering from Sarah from the Red-Headed Camel. She designed this door hanger. And we sell this design in our shop at shopdoorhangers.com. She's one of our design team members. And so she designed it on her Procreate app. And we are selling this design in the shop. She hand lettered this. This is her own hand lettering. So this is not a font. She's so talented. If you notice, I keep having to go back and get more paint every couple of strokes because that's what makes a really nice smooth brush stroke when you're painting letters, is making sure you always have plenty of paint on your brush. And somehow this tan was still wet and I stuck my hand in it and I transferred it and got it all over the blue. And I think it's already too dry for me to clean up, so I may have to just paint over it with some navy and fix it. Told y'all I'd stick my hand in it, didn't I? I thought I had it dry. Apparently I didn't. We've almost got it. Thank you, Deb. I appreciate that. She says it's looking good. I love the orange and navy together. They complement one another so well. It's going to be a hit for this fall, this design, I feel like. How many of you guys have already painted this one? This is one of the ones we released in the shop on Friday. And I've already seen at least one of our Painters Clubhouse sisters has painted this one. Okay. Here's our lettering. Look how cute. It says, give thanks. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Lynn. So, I think that's all. Well, there's a couple of little details with a round tip brush that I can do. And like adding lines to our pumpkins, I'm just going to use this round tip brush and the Sable Brown that we did on the stem. And I'm just going to kind of outline the lines on the inside of the pumpkin to kind of accent those a little bit more. Those lines are already there. I just have to trace over them since they're etched on the wood. Sometimes I go over things and I add like little black highlights and stuff like that. I may add a few of those to this one, even though the example, like the design mock-up or whatever, didn't have those on it, but I can't resist. Thank you, Tisha. So this is the 3mm paint pen. Oh, hang on, I forgot to fix that little spot where the navy paint made a mess, or where I need to paint navy where the tan made a mess, rather. Just fix that right there. No problem. So if you have to cover something up like that, use really thin brush strokes. Really thin. And there's a little spot on this one right here that I also got tan on the leaf. But I may have to, I've already mixed my greens, so I may have to use this straight out of the bottle. There we go. I'm not a perfectionist though, so I don't usually worry too much about it. All right, I'm gonna dry some of the details first because you don't want your wet paint to get gunked up in your paint pen. It'll make your paint pen not apply very smoothly. All right, that's better. All right, so I'm just gonna add a little bit to our stem, maybe a little bit to our leaves. And I'm not perfectly outlining this leaf, I'm just adding a little accent on it. I may add a little bit to our leaves here. Kind of go around the outside edge. Kind of like what I did with the dark green, but it's just layering it on. So I've kind of like adding a thin black line on top of the darker green. It just adds more detail. Like I said, some of these details were not in the original design, but this is my style, so I usually end up adding it. And then I'm going to add a little bit to the outer edge of our pumpkin here. There we go. I like that. Let me show you. See how I added just a little bit to the leaves and stuff like that? Kind of made them pop just a little bit more. All right, guys. I think I'm done. What would you use to seal that? So I use something called Triple Thick Spray. It's a Decor product, so you can order it directly from their website. But it's a really nice spray that adds a really good protective finish to it. So if you're going to be hanging something like this outside in the weather, definitely spray it front and back if it's exposed to a lot of weather. You're trying to get the Door Hanger 101 ebook, but it's giving you an error. Oh no, well send me a private message and I'll see if I can give you, maybe I can fix the link. I don't know. All right, y'all have a great day. Thank you for joining me today, and go subscribe on YouTube if you want to watch the entire video later on replay. We'll put it on there later today. Bye, guys.